There's a new alert about close calls at the nation's airports. One industry leader claims that there are hundreds of near misses involving planes every day. ABC's Hannah Battah has the details.
A stark warning on Capitol Hill about safety in the skies. An airline industry rep claims the close calls between planes that have made headlines in recent months may only be a small portion of the number of safety scares nationwide.
There are thousands of more of near misses than are probably out there in the public and that, get the headlines. There are hundreds of them every single day.
Just last weekend, a Delta flight had to abort its landing in Boston because an American jet was just 300 feet away on an intersecting runway.
American 3161, where you going? You cleared us for takeoff, 3161.
In far too many of these incidents, the difference between a close call and a deadly disaster has come down to a single, highly trained and professional individual taking emergency action.
The FAA insists America's skies are overwhelmingly safe, with close calls actually down this year. But the mid-air crash between a passenger plane and military helicopter over Washington last year, which killed 67 people, has prompted calls for change. Lawmakers are debating whether to require GPS-based tracking technology on planes, which can show flight crews the traffic around them.
It's essential. We need it. It's technology that's readily available. The NTSB is saying we should have it since 2008. Why don't we have it?
Congress is split. The Senate wants to require the technology on nearly every plane and limit the military's ability to fly with it switched off. But House lawmakers want a different approach due to concern about costs and military security.
The deadly crash at New York's LaGuardia Airport in March has also put runway safety in the spotlight. In that case, a plane hit a fire truck. Experts say runway incursions are typically minor, and they say major runway incidents are down sharply. Hannah Battah, ABC News, New York.